Hello everyone, welcome to Middle Fantasy. I am your host Zach, and we're doing another vlog at time. Yes, I think this is coming out between Christmas and New Year, so it's my little gift to you. Can't wait for that next year. Yay. But why don't we get into it? I really like these types of chapters. I think for me, I really like kind of I called this Rand and the Gang take Barlin almost. It's almost like in the 80s, they're always, when you wanted to make a sequel and wanted it to be big, it was always they take Manhattan, Jason takes Manhattan, the Muppets take Manhattan, pretty much anything that you needed for any Manhattanese adventures, you would pretty much go there. And this is why, for me, what I love about these chapters is you see the big city. We're actually kind of getting away from the Shire, so to speak, without really going into Lord of the Rings, because I really don't want to compare it to them. But why don't we get into it? I'm really excited to talk about these chapters. So why don't we go? So overall, I really like these chapters, especially in this town of Barlin, where pretty much what's happening is they're kind of, catching their breath. Rand's trying to figure out things. They're kind of hiding out in a way where they're going to figure out how best to get to Tar Valon. And what I liked about these chapters is kind of the character interactions that we meet. I think Robert Jordan does a really good job at dialogue a lot. Like, I think for me, one of the things I really like about him is his dialogue and how he has characters that are very distinct. Like, a good example, this is the innkeeper, who's very, not flamboyant, but he's very outgoing. He's very much like, hey, how you doing? Let me shake your hand. I'll do anything for you. And you have his foil of his cook. And you're seeing a lot of like these elements that I really do enjoy, especially when it comes to the Children of Light and even the Fortune Teller of Min. We're getting a lot of these interesting characters that, for me, I'm a character person. Magic's fine. Setting, it can be all over the place because your brain just imagines the architecture. But for me, I've always been a character person. I kind of like how each person in this band of people is very much a distinct person. Like, we have Rand, who's kind of the farm boy who's dreaming for bigger things but really doesn't want to go. You have Matt and Perrin, who are pretty much like, we're so excited to be out here, whereas Perrin's more mischievous and everyone's afraid that, oh no, when he leaves to the big city, he's gonna get himself murdered because he's gonna do a horrible trick. And you have Matt, he's just so excited to be out and about. You even have like Egwene, who's just excited that she knows magic now and she has a different purpose. You have Moraine and you have Lan. They're just like, oh god, I gotta babysit these children. Oh god. And then you have, Tom, who's just like, I'm just hitching a ride. I'm gonna make some extra coin and things are gonna be good and jolly. I get pretty much a free escort. And what I like that Robert Jordan does with a lot of these elements is that he gives each character kind of a stand-up moment, especially in the section that I read, because I already pretty much read, they get to the city and they have to leave. And I think we'll follow Rand for the most part because all of this stuff is really interesting because he has dreams of the Dark One. He meets a fortune teller who pretty much tells him pretty much maybe the future of the whole series, I'm sure, because I kind of read, I do have my physical copy, but for nighttime reading, sometimes I'll read the ebook version. And maybe I should turn off the x-ray mode because all those little passages had over 1,000+ notes about people copying them and highlighting them. It isn't really a spoiler, but I'd figure each one is probably Robert Jordan just sowing in seeds for when you actually finish the series. You're like, oh my god, there's this one, there's this one, there's this one. And that's a lot of fun. I'm not even going to attempt what those are because they're very much, mystical and magical, and I'm sure very much symbolic in what they end up becoming. But those are kind of the ones that I love, that we kind of see how a lot of the story and a lot of the narrative is pretty much like predetermined a little bit, where the narrative of the whole story, the wheel weaves, there's a pattern. They're going to affect pretty much the outcome of the whole world. And that's the stuff that always interests me a lot, especially when it comes to this narrative, is that they're on a predetermined path, which I'm going to see how that works out, because they're always going to have kind of that tropey thing if there's going to be one person that's kind of the anomaly and they're the one that's going to decide, because it's the Sarah Connor thing of, is history written in stone or can you change it? And then you have the John Connor, fate is what you make of it. and then they totally destroy that in every subsequent Terminator movie. But maybe we'll see what happens with that. Some of my favorite moments in these chapters is actually Min and Rand's interactions and how she pretty much is clairvoyant in many ways, and she's telling Rand all these things that he should know, but because she says it in such an interesting way, he's like, what the heck you talking about? But she knows who Moraine is. She doesn't even use really her alias. And I love those little moments, those little things, especially Rand just sitting on the barrel, just being like, what the heck am I gonna do? I can't leave. My other favorite scene in this entire thing is that we have now Nynaeve is pretty much following them, and she's gonna go on the quest, and she's very, very determined. I guess the word I would use is the classical definition of the word obnoxious, not obnoxious as in annoying. She's very much, she gets back up and she's like, I'm taking those boys back. Everyone's all a bunch of weirdos at home. And even like Rand's dad was like, I'm gonna go, but he can barely walk. And we get a lot of these conflicts. And I really, really like that. There's still weight, no matter, as long as they keep moving forward, all the problems at home are still going to be apparent. So when they ever come home, we'll see what happens with that. I feel like the whole town is going to be completely changed, and Tam is going to be a completely different person, or he's going to eventually go out and find them. I feel like that might be a thing as well, because he's so determined to leave and help them that just seems like a thing that happened in the narrative. But I really do like Nynaeve in this way, and how she's very strong-willed, and she really knows what she wants. And everyone's like, oh my god, this is like a typhoon. Another part that I found so fascinating and I thought about the most is actually Rand's interaction with the Children of Light in Bornhold. Bornhold! Yes, his name's Bornhold. And those are kind of the things when it comes to it, is almost this weird hypocrisy. I feel like the Children of Light is pretty much, it's not a subtle thing to, this is the church. We have the information gatherers. They pretty much have like an inquisition and people to torture people. Are you a witch? I can't wait to see who the Witchfinder General is going to be in this. Oh no, this is going to be bad because they're looking for the Aes Sedai. And I feel like they're going to get really tortury, Spanish Inquisition-y a little bit. You see kind of the stuff, there's just a mixed match of the Spanish Inquisition and kind of Salem witch trial type of stuff. Like they have like these weird things that they do. They have these weird trials and tests. And not only that, but Rand pisses this person off so bad that I feel like he's going to return, especially with his name being so unique that he just sounds like someone that will probably come back and bite them in the ass, because now Rand's kind of set this path of destruction. Because one thing I like about this is no matter what they do, all their interactions carry weight, especially when it comes to the whole scene where they're actually leaving the city and they're pretty much, they notice that the inn that they were staying in was pretty much on fire, which again carries weight. It's one thing I think Robert Jordan does really, really well is, obviously this guy was in the army, because you can tell where when you do one good intention, sometimes your good intentions might backfire literally. And you notice this types of stuff, especially with this, is how no matter what, there's going to always be a casualty of civilians in any greater purpose. And that's something that tends to happen, especially. I've read a lot of books that actually have people that write them were in the military. And I see this. This is why I'm taking a guess that he was in the military. Am I right? Yes! Because I noticed that, especially with people that were in the service that write books, is they have different interpretations of, are we the good guys, are we the bad guys, and what is collateral damage? And that's something that I see a lot, especially so far at the Wheel of Time, and especially them leaving in the middle of the night where people are like, what? But Moraine's like, I got all this money. She just puts down 2 money bags, and things are good and things are jovial. But these are the kind of the fun things that I like about these types of chapters, is kind of what we're getting in the overall nature of things. Even the dream parts with, I'm not even going to say his name because apparently it's bad to say his name, and I don't know how to pronounce it, so it's just going to be right here. Like, those types of dreams are so scary and creepy. I love that type of stuff, though for me, I'm getting a little like Percy Jackson vibes, where the majority of like the villain and the hero's exposition are going to be through a dream state, where Rand will probably get information through that way rather than the traditional means of someone telling him. This is where you're going to find out some of the master plans, and this is where whoever he is, Balazan, I think that's how you say it, is pretty much gonna gloat and taunt him for the majority of the story until he's pretty much like the Freddy Krueger, where it's like, you're not scary anymore. No! I guess that'd also be Pennywise. No! Type of stuff. So we'll see what happens with that. I found that stuff to be so cool and interesting because I like dream stuff. It's just you have to put it in moderation. Maybe because when I was reading Percy Jackson, it was happening every 2 seconds, and getting information from dreams can be kind of a cop out a little bit. What I mean by that is there's ways to deliver exposition, but when you're doing it solely through dreams and you can do anything, this is where it seems kind of like lazy writing. But the way that Robert Jordan's doing it, I really, really like it. And also, the character's really scary. He pretty much tells you what the stakes are. I mean, the prologue shows you what the stakes are, but currently with all these dreams and all what's happening, you really, really, really do know the stakes a little bit, especially once the inn burns. And everyone that you think, did they survive? Did they not? All we know is that they're fleeing in the middle of the night and running as fast as they can to the next town, possibly, or the next obstacle. I feel like what's going to end up happening is they're going to end up maybe way off course, or they're going to end up splitting up. They're going to end up in a situation where things are going to end up being bad because we have too many people in the adventure now, because now that Yennev is there, that seems kind of weird that we have so many people, but yet they interact in a way where you don't really know them all, and I feel like you can't keeping that up. And this is where maybe there might be more POVs. I know I read something somewhere. It was like, here are the statistics, and you have so many POV chapters. Maybe we might have a split in the narrative, or maybe we'll get something a little different, or maybe we might see a new cast of people in the other end of the world that we don't know, because there's something fishy going on, and I just feel it in my brains. I feel it. There's a storm a-coming, Annie. So we will see what happens with that. That's kind of my predictions. That I like it. I'm going to keep going forward. I am really enjoying this book. This book does have a lot of fun moments to it. And this is something that I can't wait to keep doing in the new year. I think last week I was a little lax about this just because I kind of got really busy, but I'm going to figure out ways to just keep doing this weekly and just keep plowing on and plowing on and plowing on. Well, everyone, thank you all so much. I hope you all have a very happy new year. If you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. Every other holiday, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. I know I celebrated Hanukkah this year, a little early this year. So we'll go from there. Well, everyone, if you like this video, maybe consider subscribing down below. Maybe give it a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate that. Thank you all so much. And like always, everyone, may your food and drink ever be tasteful. May your books be filled with fantasy and adventure. Bye, everyone. See ya.